I, for the longest time, had no idea what was going on with the case. Last minute, I was told I need to gather witnesses and their phone numbers and their addresses, and everything has been very last minute for the most part. There's some things that weren't, and just with my really busy schedule and all of that, I just don't think our relationship is just it. Our personalities don't work. But for the case, I think I need her.
What is up, guys? Welcome back to Dog Eat Dog Court TV. We got a case out of Traverse City for you non-Michiganders. That's in Northwest Michigan. Beautiful up there in the fall. I've been up there a few times. But we got another case of a lawyer wanting out. These lawyers do not want to represent these clients because they don't want to get out of their own ways. So you guys check this one out. I'll have another video for you today as well. Cheers.
Versus
Enjoy.
Alora Ordaway. This is file 238320 GC1. It's date and time of a motion to withdraw as counsel filed by Ms. Callison. Ms. Callison is here by Zoom. Looks like Mr. Is it pronounced Meld or Meldy for Sunhome? Okay, so I can barely hear you. I think it's a volume issue on your end. And it looks like Ms. That's better. It looks like Ms. Ordaway is here. Okay, by Zoom. So I read the motion. It's a request to withdraw from the case based on Michigan Rule of Professional Responsibility 1.16 B5 and 6. MRPC 1.16B allows withdrawal if it can be accomplished without material adverse effect on the interests of the client, or, and there are 6 sub paragraphs of B. B5 is referenced, which is the representation will result in an unreasonable financial burden on a lawyer or has been rendered unreasonably difficult by the client, or other good cause for withdrawal exists. So, one big concern here is this is set for a jury trial, which we don't see very often in civil cases, but they do occur. But I guess that is a factor. I mean, Ms. Ordaway, I'm assuming, cannot handle a jury trial on her own, and I'm concerned about her getting another lawyer to represent her if the case is going forward to trial. I just don't know how she'll handle that. Anyway, I guess we can start, Ms. Callison, with, can you give me any specific reason as to why you want to withdraw and why things aren't going well with Ms. Ordaway?
It is difficult given professional rules of conduct, which prohibit me from disclosing information between us. But I will say that there has been a breakdown of the communication between us. There has been for some time. I alerted Ms. Ordaway to the problem. I asked her to resolve it. It still has not resolved. And frankly, I'm not sure how to assist her on her jury trial either, there, because of the breakdown of the client attorney relationship. I don't feel that I can prepare as necessary to help her.
Well, so I can ask Ms. Ordaway, what's the issue, if you want to tell me what's going on here?
So I'm in full-time cosmetology school and part-time business school. And I get back to her when I can, but it's during her hours or during my school hours. So it's mostly email, and she tries to call me most of the time. I, for the longest time, had no idea what was going on with the case. Last minute, I was told I need to gather witnesses and their phone numbers and their addresses, and everything has been very last minute for the most part. There's some things that weren't, and just with my really busy schedule and all of that, I just don't think our relationship is just our personalities don't work. But for the case, I think I need her.
Well, so a couple of thoughts I have are, number one, you're being sued for something like, I think this is under 10,000, but you're being sued. So I understand you're in business school and cosmetology school, but you got to make time, no matter who your lawyer is, to work on the case. It's your responsibility to properly defend yourself, because if you don't spend the time and find a way to make the time to spend with your lawyer, you know, I just don't know how you're going to defend yourself with or without a lawyer. The other thing is most lawyers are really busy. They do use email, and they're really busy and they can't be there all the time that you have questions or need information. But again, that's why you need to set aside time to meet with your lawyer that you can both meet. So, not sure I'm seeing those as, if that's all it
Your Honor,
is reasons to allow you to withdraw.
there,
What, Ms.
there is
Council?
more, and I have characterized those reasons for Ms. Ordway in an email and letter. But again, the rules of professional conduct prevent me from going into them fully, but it is not simply that things are happening last minutes or not getting through to me. They're also communications that are not making sense, that are, there's more to it, but unfortunately I can't articulate on the record exactly what those are.
Okay, well, I understand. So, Ms. Ordway, can't you make efforts to settle the case with the other
Um,
side?
it's I think my case is very clear that I wasn't living there, and all the charges were from after I was living there. And I was supposed to be off the lease. I gave him a paper, which just disappeared. And I've been telling her from the beginning I'm going to take it to trial because I don't owe them any money.
Well, okay, so
Your Honor,
I looked at
if I
the,
can just jump
yeah,
in for a second
go ahead.
and just say that we did present an offer of judgment for probably a fourth or a third of the amount. It's been declined. So I just want the court to be aware of that.
So I looked at the complaint, and it doesn't sound that specific. It's basically that the plaintiff provided, I think it says goods and services to 3 individuals. I think the other 2 individuals were defaulted or consented to judgments. I'm not sure, but provision of goods and services, and they're not specified in the lead, or I'm sorry, in the complaint. But so Ms. Ordway is saying that she was off the lease. I guess, no, it sounds like she was still on the lease, so that legally that might be a problem for her. But she's saying that she had moved out when these services were provided. Can you shed any light on that, Mr. Meldy?
Well, Your Honor, it's like buying a vehicle. You don't have to drive it every day, but you still have to pay. It's the same with a house or renting here. She
I
was
know.
party to the lease, still in possession, whether she was living there or not. She was never released from her lease, so she is liable for these charges.
So that's what I was saying just a couple minutes ago when I said if you're still on the lease, that's probably a problem, Ms. Ordway. If you're on the lease, that's a contract, and you would be liable, okay, for just as much as the other 2. You can have a trial, that's fine, but
Yeah.
I'm just trying to help here and maybe get the case resolved.
I
Right?
know. The issue is that I signed a paper and sent it in. I have 2 witnesses that I was off the lease back in October 2020. And I tried to get this paper from them, and the paper is just gone. And then I have voicemail saying that I was off the lease in then May 2021. or I think, yeah, May 2021. And so 2 different times that I was supposed to be off the lease, and these charges are still after that.
Well, so you'd have to prove to a jury that you were released from the lease. Now, Mr. Melody says you weren't, and I don't know how you're going to get that voicemail. I don't know if that'd
I
be admissible anyway, but this paper that disappeared, it's you saying it disappeared. So I don't think that's going to help you. You can't produce it. I don't know how you're going to prove your case. I mean, you can have a trial, but I think it's going to be difficult. And given that, I think the complaint is requesting under $10,000, but Mr. Melody is saying that there was a settlement offer for maybe a third of that. So you need to weigh whether it's best just to settle for a third and end the case rather than risk being found responsible for the whole. I mean, that's one of the decisions people in civil cases need to make as to whether it's economically feasible to keep going. But again, you can have a trial. Well, and if you have a trial, what are you going to do for a lawyer? Can you afford to hire a lawyer?
No.
So,
He was my free legal aid lawyer.
so I was going to ask Ms. Callison. So you're in the Traverse City office, is that right, Ms. Callison?
I-
You broke up a little bit there. Could you repeat that, please?
Yes, I am in the Traverse City office.
Okay. So what I was wondering is, well, first of all, if you're released from the case, that would apply to everybody in your office. But do you know whether somebody from like the Petoskey office or further north could handle Ms. Ordway's case, or are they disqualified too? Do you know? I don't know the
They
answer
would
to
be
that.
disqualified by their own restrictions for geographical locations, but also, one of the reasons I'm asking is our retainer agreement requires cooperation by the client. And I'm not sure that another attorney in my organization would be able to take it on if I'm representing to them that there has not been cooperation.
Well, okay. So Ms. Ordway, I think you said you could not hire a lawyer, is that right?
Yeah, I do have a question. I am living downstate currently for school. Would I be qualified for free legal aid here, or would it have to be in the district of Traverse City?
So that's a good question. So the downstate legal aid offices, Ms. Callison, are not associated with the Northern Michigan offices. Is that right?
That's correct. I used to work for Legal Aid of Western Michigan, Your Honor. I know, like, if it's Grand Rapids area, we only covered certain counties, and I'm assuming it's the same for Ms. Callison as well.
Well, all right. So where are you living downstate, Ms. Callison? I'm sorry,
Oh,
Ms.
yeah.
Horway. I'm looking at Ms. Callison's name. Go ahead.
I'm in Allegan County.
All right. Well, okay. I'm going to have to allow Ms. Callison to withdraw under the circumstances. We're going to reset the jury trial, and not sure how soon that'll get set. I suppose we're looking at January, but Ms. Ordway, you're going to have to try to find another lawyer in your area of residence right away. All right?
Okay.
Because again, you clearly can have a jury trial, but I think it's going to be difficult for you to handle that on your own without being represented by a lawyer. Okay, so you got to find a lawyer. Okay.
Fine.
Now, in the meantime, you can continue negotiations with Mr. Melody's office to try to resolve the case. Okay, which to me, listening to what your defense is, might be a good idea, because if you're still on the lease, or we're still on the lease, like Mr. Meldy said, that's an issue, okay? It's like being on a title to a car that you sell to someone else, but you're still on the title, and there's an accident by the other person who bought the car. You, as title, being on the title, are still liable. But anyway, guess that's where we are. So anything further from either of the attorneys?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Do we know when we would reset for jury selection around time frame?
It would be sometime in January, but I
Yeah,
don't have that date right now.
Yeah, we don't have those dates in front of us here right now, but with how busy the court is, it's probably going to be late January for the jury trial. And something else, I looked at the pretrial form and it didn't look like mediation was ordered. Did the attorneys tell me when we had the pretrial that they didn't think mediation would be beneficial here? Is that why mediation wasn't ordered? Because we usually always order that. Does anyone recall?
I don't.
All right. So I'm just wondering if that might help. So Ms. Ordway, do you think you could participate in a mediation where a trained mediator meets, it'd be by Zoom, but meets with you and Sunhome and helps both sides try to recognize the other side's concerns and tries to mediate a settlement that each side might not think is perfect, but they're satisfied with because they had a hand in reaching a resolution? Do you think you could do that? You could do that with or without a lawyer?
Yeah.
Or do you want to wait till you get a lawyer? Maybe you should wait till you get a lawyer.
Okay.
You want to do that? All right. So please work on getting a lawyer through a legal aid service in your area. And the first thing they need to do, make sure they reach out to Mr. Maldy, okay, to talk about the case, and maybe the issues can be narrowed, and maybe the case can be resolved short of a trial, okay? Well, the other thing is, you know, I accept what Ms. Callison's told me, that you know, the two of you had a difference of opinion, or you mentioned personality issues. This next lawyer, you're going to have to work with that person, okay? You're going to have to make the time to work with them, spend time with them to get your case prepared, okay? Because you don't want to end up in the same position where another lawyer is asking to be withdrawn because things aren't working out for one reason or another. So does that make sense to you?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay, so yeah, work on getting the lawyer right away and have them call Mr. Meldy right away. So I think that's it. Anything further for anybody?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
All right. All right. So Ms. Ordway, I do appreciate you working hard in school. That's a good thing, okay? So I do appreciate you letting us all know that. But for today, we're all set. So feel free to sign out. And the next thing everybody will get will be the notice of jury selection and trial. But I'm just wondering, I think maybe what we should do is, once an attorney files an appearance, set this for another, just a settlement conference, and see where we are. How about that, Mr. Meldy?
I think that makes sense. I was actually going to suggest that, but
Okay, so we'll do that. So, okay, any questions, Ms. Ordway?
Nope.
Okay, all right, so we're all set. Thank you, everybody.